Istanbul, Turkey.
The food culture here will blow your mind, and we're so excited to be filming a bunch of food videos here.
Let's get food hunting for this one.
Istanbul's food scene is exciting, varied and delicious. In this 5-part series, we're hunting down the best local Turkish food and eating where the locals eat. This is our 4th video of the series, and we're eating fresh simit, a popular Turkish street food, devouring syrup-soaked baklava, finding the best fish sandwich in Istanbul, and tucking into a popular local breakfast of menemen. You don't want to miss this video. Get ready for some mouth-watering food.
I'm Thomas.
And I'm Sheena, and we're chasing a plate.
We hope you're hungry. Let's eat.
We're going to be walking all around Istanbul today to find the best local food. And we've come to our first stop. It's that place right behind me with that line out the front, and it is an artisanal bakery that makes simit. Now simit is a bread ring, and it is a really popular snack here in Istanbul. You'll see simit carts all over the city. So let's go and get one right from the source.
The Simit bakery is incredible. They've got a massive oven with a lot of simit cooking away. So they're taking the dough, a very sort of sticky dough, forming it into the rings, dumping it in a huge pile of sesame seeds, coating it all over. Every single side is getting coated with sesame seeds, and then dumped on these huge wooden boards, and the boards are so that the guy can get them into that giant oven. So he's sliding a lot in at one time, and then they're all just cooking in there. I'm not really sure how long they're cooking for. There's so many in there, I couldn't keep track of the cooking time, but I don't think it would be that long because the heat coming out of the oven was incredible. And now I've got the simit. It's really hot still, straight from the oven, and look at all the sesame seeds on there. It's incredible. So this is very basic. It's just bread covered in sesame seeds, but these are everywhere here in Istanbul. So it's really cool to have one right from the source. Let's just break in so you can see just a white bread dough. Take off a good bit, or just a nice bit of heat coming out of it. Oh, that is so simple, so good. Obviously the sesame seeds are the flavor. That's what you can taste, those roasted sesame seeds. So well toasted because they've gone in the oven. And then the bread is super basic. It's just a basic white bread dough, and the sesame seeds are incredible. Such a good earthy flavor. That's really nice. Oh, a little bit salty, that bread too. That is good. So we're going to do what the locals do, wander to our next stop and just rip pieces of this off, munch into it, and walk along the harbour to our next stop.
One heart to survive when one just breaks. One slow suicide while one just
We walked across the harbour from that side, right over there, to a new suburb of Istanbul, and we came to hunt down a fish sandwich called a Balık ekmek, which basically translates to fish bread, and we really wanted to eat it from this little boat right behind us, but it is closed. There is no one about. So what we're going to do is we're going to wander up into the old laneways of the old city of Sultanahmet, and then find our next snack, and then we will revisit Balık ekmek later on in the video. We're wandering in the laneways of a really local market, and we've heard from locals that there is a really good baklava shop nearby. So let's go and get a piece of baklava. We're at the baklava shop, and the window is filled with all these amazing different types of baklava. They look incredible. Let's go and order. baklava is a dessert which is made up of sheets of yufka, which is a really thin, light pastry that's been soaked in sugar syrup and then interdispersed throughout the layers of pastry are loads and loads of nuts, in this case pistachio. And just look at how green those pistachios are. Now there's a ton of different types of baklava up in that cabinet, but what they all have in common is that they all have a really heavy dose of pistachio added to each dessert. Let's just dive into this baklava. So you can see the really delicate sheets of pastry, all of those layers, and then right down the bottom there, all of those pistachios, and then you can see that the pastry is sodden, it's just soaking with that sugar syrup. So let's just get a huge bite. Oh, see, as I press down into the pastry, all of that sugar syrup just oozing out of it. Alright, let's go. Oh, it looks like such a good bite. That is beautiful. It's very sweet, but what you can really taste are those nuts. The pistachio flavor is so strong. And then you can really discern the layers of pastry. So they're really light still. So the top bit, very light, really sort of flaky, they sort of melt in your mouth. And then the bottom layer of the pastry that was really dense with the syrup, it just sort of oozes and melts in your mouth. That is incredible. I'm gonna go for one more bite. It is just so fresh. All right. It's so good. I love the sensation of the sugar syrup oozing out of the baklava when it hits your tongue. And I just love how the pistachios, the nuts taste really vibrant and fresh. Often the baklava that I've had in the past, the nuts are almost a bit stale and old, and the pastry is just way too dense. This pastry is beautiful. It's really light. And we're washing it down with a cup of chai, which is just a cup of tea, and it's pretty much the Turks' national drink. Just tea in a beautiful little tulip glass. That's perfect with this baklava, which is super sweet. The chai sort of cuts through that sweetness.
We're back on the hunt for the fish bread or the fish sandwich, the Balık ekmek. So we've come back across the water and we're going to another place that's been very highly recommended to us. This place has been around for over 20 years. A lot of locals have said this is one of the top ones. So since the first place we tried to visit was closed, this is going to be our next target for this fish sandwich. Now this video is all about local favorites, so we're not probably showing you something that you haven't seen. You might have seen everything that we eat in this video, but we're showing you the real local places to go get these things. And like I said earlier, this place was really well recommended, and by just looking at this fish sandwich, I can see why. It was brilliant watching it getting made. So it's stuffed with ingredients, but I'll talk about the outside first. The wrap itself is covered in spice mix, and he basted it with a special sauce. So you can see that's all sort of shiny, and that sauce was dripping down off the wrap after he painted it on with a big paintbrush and really sizzling on the grill. So it looked like it had some sugars in it because it was really hissing and foaming as soon as it hit that grill. But inside this wrap is mackerel, so fish, so an oily fish. And then it was pretty simple beyond that, just tomatoes, there's some chili in there, so a big red chili which he put on the grill as well. and there's some greens, which I think is just some type of lettuce. And on that is a whole lot of sauces. The main one is pomegranate molasses. And then there were some other sauces on there as well, which I'm not sure what they were. A whole lot of fresh lemon was squeezed all over it. And it just looks like heaven to eat. And we thought we'd come down onto the waterfront. So the stand is only 20 meters from where we're sitting. We thought we'd come down and sit right on the water for a fish sandwich. I'm gonna get in. Wow. Oh, that fish. Oh, it's such a good flavor. So mackerels are pretty strong tasting fish if you've not had it before. But that is beautifully cooked. It's just a beautiful texture. Breaks apart. I find sometimes mackerel can dry out if it's cooked wrong. That's not dry at all. It's super moist, really easy to eat. And look at all those ingredients in there. I want to go for another bite because we've got this big bit of tomato, and that in there behind the tomato is the big red chili. Oh. Oh. This is a flavor sensation. It's so good. Wow, it is good. That one had more of the pomegranate molasses as well, so had more of a sweetness and a little souriness. The chili's not too hot at all. I've got a little bit of heat coming from that. This is unreal. All that spice on the outside, which after chucking a whole lot of the spice on, he just turned it on the grill, so you can see it's all charred as well, so they're a little bit crunchy, all those spice bits. Now that I've bitten in a bit further, I can see more of what's going on inside, and I remember there's a whole lot of onions got put in, so you can see the onions there. Look how big and juicy that chili looks. The beautiful tomatoes. Something I love here in Turkey is the produce. It's so fresh and lively, I guess is a good word to describe it. So the tomatoes taste like a tomato should. They're not just watery and just, you know, gluggy like tomatoes can be. We get so used to tomatoes out of season. These taste incredible. The chili's super crunchy, and then that fish just tops off all those fresh ingredients so well. And I love that he took the skin off the fish, so you don't have a skin that's hard to get through, so it's really easy to eat. I gotta go for this corner, so this big bit of chili, the tomato, all those onions, and then as much of this spice mixture as I can. There's quite a lot of different spices on there. I can't really pick what's what because they're all molding together. There's definitely chili. There's quite a lot of chili flakes, and that is really tasty. Oh man. Oh, that is good. That mouthful was perfect. I got everything in that one. A whole lot of fish. There's actually some parsley in there as well. I got a bit of that in that mouthful, so I'm getting a bit of bitterness from that. Chili. This is absolutely incredibly good.
The food hunt continues, and next up we've come to a really small local eatery to eat a menemen, which is a Turkish scrambled eggs dish. I've got my dish of menemen in front of me. So this is Turkish scrambled eggs. Now it looks very different to what you and I probably think of as scrambled eggs, but the dish is made up of eggs which have been beaten over a really high heat, and then there's tomatoes and peppers and also sucuklu inside, which is Turkish sausage. And it doesn't look like much, but trust me, it tastes amazing. And to go with it, we've got some huge hunks of bread, really crusty bread, and then we couldn't resist ordering one of our favorite things in Turkey, so kaymak, which is clotted cream, and it's served with this huge puddle of runny honey. what I'm gonna do is just rip a piece of this bread up. It's super soft, really crusty. That's gonna go perfectly with the eggs. And then let's just dig in. Whoa, look at that. So it's just really, really creamy, and you can see all of those ingredients mixed up in there. So that's the tomato and then the really small pieces of sausage. And the eggs are just almost quite fluffy and wet. So I'm just gonna put that on top of my piece of bread. Oh, they are amazing. The eggs are really, really creamy, quite rich, and then you've got this sweet burst from the tomatoes, which are really juicy. I'm gonna go again. Load it up onto that bread. The bread is just really soft and chewy. There's a little bit of spiciness from the sausage, but it's sliced really, really thin, so it's not overpowering. And then the eggs, they're just a beautiful texture. So quite wet, like I said before, the mixture is quite wet and just creamy. It is just insane. Menemen is usually a breakfast food, and it's 4:30 in the afternoon at the moment, but I don't mind having a breakfast for afternoon tea, and I don't reckon any Turkish breakfast is complete without this magic combo. So you've got the kaymak, which is clotted cream, and then bal, which is honey, and it is just the most beautiful combination. I just love this stuff. God, it is so good. It is a magic combination. The kaymak, as soon as it hits your tongue, it just dissolves into this creamy puddle, and then you've got that beautiful sweetness of the honey. It is just perfection.
Another massive day of eating here in Istanbul. So that was some of the more simple dishes, the stuff that you probably might know, but those were the most incredible versions of those dishes. And we're going to be making a ton more videos while we're here though.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to support more Chasing a Plate content, check out our Patreon page. We'll see you next time. G'lay g'lay!
G'lay g'lay!